guys, I'm Elegant and welcome to the weekly Pokevlog. So this week we actually got quite a lot of information despite we already getting a lot of information last week from Core about Pokemon X and Y. Now Pokemon Smash did say they would announce something on Saturday/Sunday wherever you are in the world when it airs there. But they didn't quite give any new information on Pokemon X and Y. What they did announce is that every week they're going to have a Pokemon X and Y section of the show where they're going to release new information, they're going to go over the latest information, whatever, we don't quite know what they're going to do, but we probably can expect some new information coming in the coming weeks from Pokemon Smash, and maybe they'll announce new Pokemon every week or something like that, maybe. We don't quite know, but they are going to announce some information in the future. And now, despite Pokemon Smash not giving you new information, what I said that we did get some new information, where we got it from is the Pokemon and X and Y English website, because that has now been updated. As expected, they updated with the English names of the information we got last week when Core was officially released in Japan. But they've completely revamped the website into like a proper Pokemon X and Y website, because before we kind of had a blog sort of style thing, a fancy blog, with all just the information in like one column. Now they split it into different sections and we have a proper website, so go check that website out. The link will be down in the description, so check it out for any updates in the future, any translations or whatever. So like I said, they did do some translations this time, and what I wanted to go over first of all is all the translations for the information we got last week. So first of all, the Go Pokemon Go-Goat in English will be called Go-Goat. Yeah. So the second Pokemon, the lizard Pokemon, Electerum, will be called Helioptile in English, and the bird Pokemon Yayakoma will be called Fletching. The panda Pokemon Yancham will be called Pancham. The Kalos region, which is the new region we have, will be called the Kalos region, and the main city, Maria City, will be called Luminos City. So they're the translations for the Japanese names to the English names. So this is just basic information, but what is interesting about this is that a while ago, when all the speculations about Pokemon X and Y and people were making up crazy ideas and everything like Mr. X and Y and all that stuff, one person actually said that they had the names for the English names for 4 brand new Pokemon, and they also claimed that there was a new type called Fairy type, and Pokemon like Mawile, Sylveon and Clefairy were part of this Fairy type, which was quite a big speculation thing before. No one really listened to this person because there's no like confirmation that this person actually knew anything until now, because the 4 Pokemon that they said they had the English names for were the 4 Pokemon that we have now. That we have the English names for now, so we have Go-Goat, Helioptile, etc, etc. So we don't quite know whether this person actually is in the Pokemon Company. We know this person has some access to information that everybody else doesn't have. So maybe we could actually be having this Fairy type. A lot of people think this is a confirmation, but I can't say anything yet because it could, like with Mr. X and Y or whatever, could actually have some very verified information that people don't usually have, but use that to make up rubbish that make people believe that rubbish or whatever. We don't know, but could be a Fairy type Pokemon. We're not saying anything just yet though. So the other big news we got this week was a trailer, or gameplay trailer, about Pokemon X and Y. So what we have in it is the main characters, or the player characters, running around in the main city, which is Luminos City, and you've got them riding Go-Goats. Go-Goat does seem to be pretty slow, which is quite interesting. But we get to see the full movement, and there's another city that you see the characters in, which we've already seen in the first gameplay images that we had, but now we can see it in a bit more detail. But what it does all show is that there's a new kind of movement of the characters. You don't have like one path that you can only take, you can't move side to side. It's very much like the Castelia City sort of movement in Pokemon Black and White, except it's more free and it's throughout the complete game and the entire game, which looks really cool. And also, on top of that, there does seem to be sort of a variable camera movement or dynamic camera movement that you can change yourself in the game. Now, you can sort of see this when the characters are running through the main city. The camera sort of seems to move in a funny way, and you see the camera in all different angles, from all different perspectives, and moving while you're running in a way you wouldn't expect. So I'm sort of thinking that maybe you can have a sort of a left-right trigger camera movement, maybe. We don't quite know. Maybe it's just a very enhanced camera movement because it's a trailer or whatever. But we do sort of see that we can have some dynamic camera movements. In addition to this, the trailer also shows more about the city and the new town, but also it shows the brand new Pokemon in the battle scenes, and it shows the battle scenes change a little bit like the old battle scenes, but this time the whole battle scene is changed because the whole battle scene is independent to that sort of certain area that you're in. So if you remember last week we got the Core scans and we saw like a little blurry image of the Kalos region. But thanks to the official Pokemon X and Y website, we now have like a full high resolution image of this image, and it's kind of an artist's interpretation of the map of the Kalos region. It's not the actual map that we're going to get in the game, because we get this sort of map of the image of the artist's interpretation for every region, and we can see all the individual towns and things in it that we've seen in the previous scans or the images from the gameplay or whatever. So in the centre we have or sort of in the centre, we have the main Luminos city, and a bit south of that you have the palace that we saw in one of the images a while ago. What I found particularly interesting is if you look to the left of it, or sort of the northwest, you will see an arrangement of stones, and it's in columns and rows first of all. So these actually look like the Genesect stones in France, because they are sort of an arrangement of columns and rows of stones, so that kind of works because it's France, and that's probably what it is. And now, if you look a little bit left to that, you'll see a circle of arrangement of stones, and there's not a circle of stones like this in the Genesect stones. In fact, what it does remind me of is Stonehenge or something like that in England, because they've got the two pillar stones and with one stone on top of it across them. Now, that's just what Stonehenge does, except Stonehenge carries on the pattern all the way around, which this doesn't. And if you look at this, there's actually like a little village or whatever inside it, which actually makes me think of some Anglo-Saxon or pre-Anglo-Saxon villages here in England, because there's quite a few of those that kind of look similar to that. In England, I've not really seen any in France before, because it's very Anglo-Saxon, pre-Anglo-Saxon kind of thing. So maybe we could get in some like other countries kind of coming in and being around France, which is in contrast to what people tend to think, is that the Kalos region is just going to be France, not going to be any more of Europe. So we could be getting other countries and parts of Europe kind of coming in around the edges, which would make sense, because it's sort of in the right place for England to be, except it is a little bit south, but you know, its interpretation, it's not quite going to be perfect at all, because the region isn't even shaped perfectly like France would be. So, and then if you look at the other side, you will see sort of a snowy mountain range, which maybe you think the Alps, maybe Switzerland or something, and it has a windmill on it. If you remember a few vlogs ago, when I looked at some of the early scans, the early images, I looked at one of them, and one of them had different trees from the other ones, and it looks very different, and the background looked different, it looks mountainous, it kind of looks like it would be sort of the Geneva kind of styled area, which is in Switzerland in the Alps. So maybe we could have Switzerland on this side, on the west side with the mountain range. It could be very Switzerland because it kind of has a defined sort of different areas in it. And then if you look at the top, it's a bit more ambiguous, but you have somewhat of a little village. It kind of looks like an old Danish, Denmark kind of style village. So maybe we definitely have some other like countries coming into the France sort of region. And what is interesting that I noticed after noticing this was that QOTW announced that there's going to be a separation in the Kalos region. Now the separation is going to be of coastal Kalos, central Kalos and mountain Kalos. And what is quite funny is the fact that the countries that I just defined, the England, France and Switzerland, and possibly Denmark, I just defined those as areas as the coast, which is England, the central, which is France, and the mountainous, which is Switzerland. So therefore it definitely does sort of show a separation. I guess Denmark could be coastal as well, which would sort of come together with England. But what actually is going to happen is there's going to be 3 different Pokedexes, one for each of these areas, and they always have different Pokedexes for different regions, and different regions are basically different countries in the Pokemon world. And therefore, the fact there's different Pokedexes could mean they are meant to be different countries, meaning that they are inferred like different real-world countries kind of contributing to the whole region altogether. Now, this is something I speculated a while ago, that there might be some like sort of hints of the rest of Europe in it. So maybe we could be getting other countries sort of kind of coming in around the edges of France. We don't quite know, but it does look like this is going to happen. So I thought I'd do a little bit of an update on the new game Pokemon Rumble U. So it's the most recent game to be announced. It's going to be released in Japan this year. Don't have a release date for the rest of the world yet though. So what is going on with this game is it's basically Pokemon Rumble or Rumble Blast, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called in your country or whatever, for the Wii U. But what's special about it is that I think with the handheld control device for the Wii U, we're going to get little Pokemon figures to put on it, so like the Pokemon toys in the game but in real life, which is pretty cool. And you get these toys and you can put them on, you can sort of connect them into the game, and you can sort of transfer data or whatever, we don't quite know, maybe these special toys they'll give you in the game. We don't know, but what's interesting is that Pokemon Smash announced 5 new promotional sort of toy things. I don't know what to call them, but they are all Genesect, and 4 of them are regular Genesect, and the 5th is a red shiny Genesect, which is basically just from the movie. It's a promotional thing from the brand new movie. And if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I went over the movie trailer and I saw the 5 Genesect, and they were all using different moves, and I thought they were all using Techno Blast, and what I said was there's probably another drive, because the drive determines what type Techno Blast is, and they were all using different types of Techno Blast, and so far we only know 4 types of Techno Blast because there's only 4 drives, so maybe we're going to get a 5th drive. So what this puts forward is that in Pokemon Smash, they all said that they're all going to be able to use a different type of Techno Blast, when there's only currently 4 types of Techno Blast, hence inferring that there is definitely going to be a new drive or something that's going to make it have a new type of Techno Blast. So I just wanted to say this because it's putting forward my ideas that I had before. We don't quite know for 100% though. It could have been mistranslated or something else. But anyway, let's move on to the question of the week. So do you think the brand new Kalos region is just going to be based on France? Or do you think it's going to be based on France but with other sort of countries based around it? Or whatever, like I'd said before, because personally I think it's definitely going to have other parts of Europe sort of contributing. I mean, specifically, definitely with the separation of the region itself, with the coastal, central, and the mountainous, that just screams out that there's going to be sort of based off different parts of Europe itself, and the main central part is definitely going to be France, of course, and but it just definitely screams out that it's going to be sort of different parts of Europe's going to be interpreted, because just you have to have 3 different Pokedexes for each part, so it definitely, for me, I just think that it does seem like it will have just Europe influences in the different parts, and as I've said many vlogs ago, I don't know how many it was, that there was a screenshot from the gameplay that looked entirely different. The scene would just look entirely different from the other parts, so I'm assuming that's going to be part of the mountainous part of the Kalos region, because it had no oceans, it had mountains in the background, so that kind of proves it. And the other ones were based on the Lumiose City, which is in the central part of the new region, the Kalos region. So what do you think about this? Do you think it's going to be just separated into 3, just 3 different parts of France, 3 different parts of the Kalos region? There's nothing to think about it really. Or do you think there's actually other influences from Europe or whatever? My say is definitely other influences from Europe. So comment down below, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully have some more information next week, and I'll see you then.